by Hilbert Hagedoorn on May 22, 2018, 5:38 p.m. Source: 17 comments. As discussed a few weeks ago, a new Spectre vulnerability has been shared and made public today. Earlier on, it was reported that there are 8 new vulnerabilities, grouped and named as Spectre-ng, of which 4 are critical. Today, the store bypass SSB vulnerability has been published and affects Intel, AMD and ARM. Researchers from Microsoft and Google's Project Zero now published information about one of the vulnerabilities, the so-called 4th variant Spectre vulnerability, which can cause security issues. A new subclass of speculative execution side-channel vulnerabilities known as speculative store bypass (SSB) has been announced and assigned CVE 20183639. Variant 4 uses speculative execution, a feature common to most modern processor architectures, to potentially expose certain kinds of data through a side channel. An attacker who has successfully exploited this vulnerability may be able to read privileged data across trust boundaries. Vulnerable code patterns in the operating system (OS) or in applications could allow an attacker to exploit this vulnerability. In the case of just-in-time JIT compilers, such as JavaScript JIT employed by modern web browsers, it may be possible for an attacker to supply JavaScript that produces native code that could give rise to an instance of speculative store bypass (SSB). However, Microsoft Edge, Chrome and other major browsers have taken steps to increase the difficulty of successfully creating a side channel. So with your latest Chrome, you should be fine and thus safe. There are now 4 published variants of the Spectre vulnerability that can be used to read memory in processors that is not intended for that application, and thus can be abused. Variant 1, Bounds Check Bypass, CVE 20175753, Spectre 1. Variant 2, Branch Target Injection, CVE 20175715, Spectre 2. Variant 3, Rogue Data Cache Load, CVE 20175754, Meltdown. Variant 3A, Rogue System Register Read, CVE 20183640. Variant 4, Speculative Store Bypass, CVE 20183639, Spectre 4. Microsoft has released an advisory on the vulnerability and mitigation plans. Microsoft is completing final testing and validation of specific updates for Windows client and server operating systems, which are expected to be released through their standard update process. Intel made microcode available to their partners, however, see a large performance impact of 2 to 8%. Because of this impact, Intel has decided to leave the option off by default, so that users of critical systems themselves must switch on the patch in the BIOS. AMD writes that it will roll out microcode and patches, but it has not indicated what impact this performance will have. Similar to Intel, it will leave the patches turned off by default because the risk of abuse would be very small. ARM announced that their Cortex-A57, A72, A73 and A75 CPU cores are affected. A firmware mitigates the problem with a performance impact of 1 to 2% with most workloads. In July, new versions of the A72, A73 and A75 cores will be released that are resistant to Variant 2, and Cortex-A75 is also made resistant to V3, also known as Meltdown. As always, please check where you are updates and patches wise with the handy Inspector application. Download here. More info: Microsoft, ARM, AMD, Intel. Related stories: researcher demonstrates USB stick that can BSOD any Windows 10 device even if locked. The 3rd of May 2018, 7:28 a.m. Microsoft has a security issue that affects both Windows 7 and Windows 10 operating systems. The code exploits a vulnerability in Microsoft's handling of NTFS file system images and was discovered by researchers discover new Intel processor vulnerability. The branch scope attack, March 28, 2018, 1:58 p.m. A new vulnerability has been discovered on Intel processors by researchers. The security attack uses the speculative execution features of modern processors to leak sensitive information and unarm. Initial AMD technical assessment of CTS Labs research March 21, 2018 8:05 a.m. On March 12, 2018, AMD received a communication from CTS Labs regarding research into security vulnerabilities involving some AMD products. Less than 24 hours later, the research firm went public with security researchers bypass lock screen and install malware through Cortana. The 7th of March 2018 9:11 a.m. researchers shared the word that they will demonstrate how they are able to bypass the password-protected Windows 10 lock screen and then install malware from a website through Microsoft. Microsoft researches holographic near-eye displays May 22, 2017 8:55 a.m. Microsoft shows a thing or two how digital holography can be used to build novel near-eye displays for virtual and mixed, or augmented, reality. Using the form factor of sunglasses by using a power 2 pages 2 pages 2 post new comment. Click here to post a comment for this news story on the message forum.